Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 3. We'll explain about foreign language aptitude. And my name is Citra Dia Safira. I will explain about 7.1 Cognition, Connection, and Affect in Psychology and SLA. 1. Cognition is thinking. Cognition refers to how information is interpreted and learned by human minds. 2. Affect is feeling. Affect issues of temperament, emotions, and how people feel about information, people, objects, acts, and thoughts. 3. Connection is trying or wanting. Connection discusses how people use will and independence to make choices that result in new behavior. Research strategy 1. Seek correlation between ID and outcomes. 2. Share variance. More meaningful. And 3. Beware of significant correlation. 7.2 Learning and not learning friends. Kaplan versus Watson. 1. Alice Kaplan very successful, devoted to friends from childhood. Alice Kaplan grew up in the Minnesota. She started learning French in grade 5 and completed a French immersion summer program in Maine at the age of 14. And 2. Richard Watson, surprisingly unsuccessful at spoken French. And 3. How to explain the vast differences in outcomes in such learners.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Alaika Mati. Today I would like to present about language aptitude, Almighty, and aptitude as prediction of formal L2 learning rate. First is language aptitude, Almighty. Despite positive research findings, many unanswered questions remain. First, true nature. Second, relationship to the other ID factors. First is cognitive, second is affective, third is contextual. Next is updated as prediction of formal L2 learning rate. First, it measured often by MLIT. Second, MLIT have 5 parts measuring 3 components. It usually uses 3 components. 3. There are high predictive validity of MLIT. The last is questionable construct validity. A. Mismatch between test parts and theorized components. B. Measures rote rather than dynamic memory. C. Rate of formal learning less important than first unlimited attachment. M. Various learning condition or ATI. And then the next presenter will be presented by my friends. Thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
And next is about, is second language aptitude different from intelligence and first language ability? There are three domains overlap, but it's different. Like in the first language ability, it's influence second language aptitude and it's influence second language achievement, but it differs in first language ability, it's not influenced in the second language achievement. Like the second said, the intelligence partly overlaps with foreign language aptitude for grammatical sensitivity, or as in words in a sentence, and other tests of analytical ability, but not for other components of the construct. Like the psychologist Robert Stanford, he finds some overlap that is not surprising, since some of the same neuroacademic abilities involve traditional measures of intelligence like the IQ test, are also involved in the constructions of grammatical sensitivity measure in traditional language aptitude tests. And like second set, in the second points is about academic skill and grammatical sensitivity, underlying intelligence, first language and second language. So like I said before, it can be concluded that language aptitude and early first language ability may share a common substrate of grammatical sensitivity and analytical kinds of abilities. Despite the partial overlaps, each of the three constructs is also distinct enough to be worthy of study in its own right. So, next, is about lack of second language aptitude or general language-related difficulties. And the first point is first language difficulties. It means also second language difficulties on the phonological orthographic relationships. Like we know, difficulties in the mother tongue may be seen in the early school years. Indeed, as many as 50 to 20% of all school children will experience difficulties related to certain literary tasks in the critical months when they start learning to read. It's from the International Dyslexia Association, 1998. And the second is about phonological awareness. There are 2 points, like a phonemic awareness or segmentations, and second is phonological decoding or integrations. These difficulties of coding and general language processing emerge most clearly in the fields of phonological awareness, defined by Snow as a general appreciations of the sounds of speech distinct from its meaning. Its phonological awareness, a critical area difficulty, is phonemic awareness, which is defined as the ability to define sounds like K, I, T in a word sketch, or a word hidden parts in spoken words and put them back together. Like the example, transformations, it can be trans and form and shins. and phonological decoding, which refers to the fluent's ability to access spelling cues and automatically integrate them to identify words and retrieve related meanings. And Dulva finished the research like we can see in the PowerPoint. They investigate the deep and complex relationship between phonological awareness and foreign language aptitude. Carroll and others hypothesize that they may have difficulty imitating foreign sounds and remembering new words. In reviewing the evidence, psychologist Yale Elena concludes that there is a non-random relationship between failure to master a foreign language and difficulty acquiring native language in both spoken and written formats. Finally, by the findings report by Dufia and his colleagues, he attributed the difficulty of language coding to differential memory capacity. And indeed, memory has always occupied a special place in the conceptualizations of second language aptitudes. So that's the explanations about the lack of second language aptitude and our general language relay difficulties. And next,
Okay, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Fardia Nurul Iza. I will presentation about memory capacity as a privileged component of L2 aptitude and contribution of memory to aptitude complexity. The first of memory capacity as a privileged component of L2 aptitude. First of is exceptional learners. There are multiple language and older learners. And the second, static memory spans. There are EVL vocabulary of Finnish children. Number 2, lookup behavior of UNIF. Number 3 is active working memory spans. There are grammar and reading. Okay, next is contribution of memory to aptitude complexity. There are first vocabulary learning at early stage, second grammar at later stage, third formal but not semantic rules, and then long term but not short term again. Okay, thanks. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
And then the number 7.9, the title is Aptitude and Age. In there, explain about number 1, aptitude does not matter before puberty. In there, explain about fundamental difference in hypothesis, implicit and Classroom by Erlam and Sin.
In Snow World, three principles are highlighted. Human aptitude is made up of complex of abilities interrelated in a hierarchical fashion rather than simple of direct fashion. Differential cognitive processing abilities are intertwined with the context and affordance of the environment. And differential aptitude cannot be fully explained unless motivational and affective influences are taken into account as well. How would Robinson set out to explain this aptitude difference regarding Snow's first premise? So aptitude complexes would be involved in explaining specifically which some learners are better than others at benefiting from requests. Noticing the gap. When the learner compare their own utterance to the one they hear back for the interlocutor and memory for contingent speech, when the learner actually remembered the utterance utterance by the interlocutor enough to rehearse it in memory or to recognize it later on when it occurs again. Scahan chooses to work with information processing theory and identity-based noticing, patterning, controlling, and lexicalizing as the four macro processes involved in learning any new aspect of the L2. Because during noticing attention is placed on a to-be learned aspect of the L2, Scahan presents the kind of aptitude components that may matter for differential noticing advantage include things like attention management, working memory, and phonemic coding ability. Next, applying it to one's strengths, the future of L2 aptitude. A tantalizing possibility that stands for this recent proposal formulated by Robinson and Scahan is that instruction that play to the strengths and preferences of certain profiles in students will bring about the most learning about them. In 1975, a group of students who exhibit for a profile most apt for analytical instruction were either matched into an analytical class or mismatched into an audiovisual class. The aptitude profiles that Scahan and Robinson have put forth have the advantage of making prediction of aptitude treatment interaction much more amenable to empirical investigation because they unpack the early suggestions of aptitude profile, which were mostly binary ones, into more theoretically variable and specifically resemble them. Thank you.